Good morning. Happy Wednesday. I have Neuro Coffee in hand and it is perfect. A little stressful this morning. My internet went down. Oh my God. Right. When everything's going to virtual and online, that's probably the worst case scenario for right now, but it is now back up, obviously. So, got a big question from my friend Charlie Reed. That will probably require discussion beyond this little interaction here, because it's a big question for a lot of people. But I think I can address it at least briefly in this scenario to make it useful. But it's a long question, so I'm gonna read it. So bear with me. So Charlie says, I've been following your videos lately and figured I'd ask a question regarding how systemic factors play into your treatment and training approach and how you might address these in dialogue with those that come to see you for help. For example, you may find some limitations in movement capabilities either in a movement assessment or a table test, but you notice from their history that they're a smoker, they have poor markers of aerobic fitness, high BMI, or have reported high levels of stress at work. Although I'm sure assigning some movement-based interventions may be helpful, how might you address these overarching factors as part of your treatment and training paradigm? This question is motivated by observing some trainers and therapists doing what they feel most confident or competent in, and not always addressing issues that may need to be addressed first or concurrently. Thank you for considering it should you choose to answer it. I hope this question has been more useful to your followers than it is to myself. So thank you, Charlie. This is an awesome and a monstrous question, but let me do my best here in a short period of time. Let's look at this from two perspectives. So let's look at the coach-therapist perspective first, and then we'll look at the client. So we all have our circle of competence where we are effective, confident, and useful. And I don't think that it's necessary that we try to go beyond that because I think it increases the risk of failure, and you can also potentially put a client at risk as well as your reputation, which we have to have some measure of to be successful as a professional. The thing that we need to understand is that we also don't want to be satisfied with our current circle of competence. So the way that we start to work within this level of complexity is through our mentorship and apprenticeship models, and that's a safe place for younger trainers to be exposed to this level of complexity. So for instance, I've been doing this for 30 years, and so when I'm faced with something like this, I think I'm a little bit more competent and a little bit more comfortable in working with this level of complexity, where somebody with only 30 days of experience may not. And so again, I think that we stay in our wheelhouse as to where we feel most effective or where we've demonstrated our effectiveness. And so again, when we talk about competence, let's try to stay within that. Just don't be satisfied and keep working to expand your knowledge, your understanding, and then your competence will obviously grow. So now let's look at this from the client perspective. I think most clients probably recognize to a certain degree, based on the information available, that their behaviors are not necessarily ideal, but what they're having trouble with is the behavioral change that's associated with that. Because I don't think there's a smoker alive that doesn't know that they've increased their risk of cancer by smoking. So again, information is not the decision-making factor here. What is the decision-making factor is their beliefs and their emotions. So people will make decisions based on those beliefs and emotions, and then they will superimpose the logic or information on top of that would support that, well, this is why I do this, because I can't or whatever. So their belief system becomes the limiting factor. So how do we alter those beliefs? Well, number one, if we can integrate them into our culture. So we look at our behaviors and you know, we're fit, we exercise, we eat well, and we didn't make those changes all in a day, and so we can't expect our clients to do the same. And so we integrate them into our culture with our gym culture or the environment to provide them with the social proof that yes, this is possible. So now we're starting to impact some beliefs in that, because they see other people, you know, that we associate them with, and so people become like the people that they associate with. And so that's a very important part of this whole process, is to provide them with the social proof. So it's not just showing people testimonials and things, it's literally integrating them into the culture so they start to associate. Secondly, if we want to look at behavioral change, people only have so much energy and so many resources to contribute towards a change in behavior because it is uncomfortable. It does take energy. And so what we want to look at is where can we make the smallest change with the least amount of effort. So they start to recognize that they can change, and so they can alter their identity. So one of the easiest ways for say a smoker to quit smoking is to recognize the fact that I am no longer a smoker, I am a non-smoker. So how does a non-smoker believe? Well, non-smokers don't buy cigarettes, they don't carry a lighter, they don't associate with other smokers, etc., etc. And that's an extreme example. But what we want to start to look at is, okay, so what's the smallest change that you can make that takes the least amount of effort, which might be, hey, just show up to the gym twice a week. All I need you to do is get here, right? Start with that. Just show up. Maybe just put on your workout clothes at home and change into those. Right? Maybe that's the smallest adjustment that you make. And again, that's sort of like an extreme example, but that is also a potential reality. It's like, what is the least that you could do that is different and doesn't take much effort and is not painful and it allows you to recognize that change is possible. We can go as far as asking people certain questions. It's like, what would happen to you if you did make this favorable change? How do you perceive your life to be? And then they start to recognize themselves that, hey, if I make this favorable change, then I'm more likely to be happy, healthy, and successful. We can also reverse gears and we can ask a much more painful question is, so if you decide not to make this change, how do you foresee your life to move forward? And again, it's a little bit more painful, but it does provide them a recognition of how their beliefs and their behaviors do influence an outcome. So I think we try to integrate them into a process. Everybody wants to create this lofty goal or these extreme behaviors or make these massive changes. And I think we have to do this incrementally. And so we say, where can I make the impact first and foremost on any level? The simplest change to allow them to recognize and change the beliefs that are actually limiting them and promoting the behaviors that are interfering with their progress. So I hope this initiates at least an element of this. I think it's a fabulous question. I think it's one of the biggest issues that we deal with. It's beyond programming. It's beyond the execution of the interaction in the gym. This is actually probably the biggest issue for everyone that's trying to make a favorable change in their behaviors. So Charlie, I appreciate you asking it. I hope there's questions that come off of this because it is the elephant in the room, so to speak. It's one of the biggest issues that we deal with. So I hope this gets it started. Work to increase your circle of competence. For those of you out there who are coaches and trainers, and then again, looking for small victories and a change in beliefs. We have to reach people on an emotional level versus pummeling them with information, because it's not the information that's going to make the impact. Have a great Wednesday. Enjoy your neural coffee as I will mine, and we'll see you later.